What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol NVAX for Novavax. On the left-hand side, we are looking at the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. We did cover this one a while back when it had earnings back here, and clearly there has been some developments to the daily chart, but what we've left behind is just some pretty raw structure, right? You can clearly see prior pivot highs, prior highs in here, support, so that stuff's fairly obvious. But from the intraday 30-minute perspective, let's talk a little bit more nuance, and of course the fact that we will be dealing with a gap down come the bell at 9:30 tomorrow morning. The first thing I want to do is just map out today's low, which of course is coming in from the wick here at 250.34. After that, you'll notice that this 261 area is actually working perfectly as prior support and then acting as resistance here into the end of the day. So any upside continuation, if we fill the gap, we'll talk about that in a second here, and then get back into today's range, the breakout, in my opinion, would really come from being over 261, in which case you're looking at this area right in here as next up for resistance. So the target would be 271, about a, let's just call that a $10 move available inside of NVAX on the upside there. But as we know, we are going to be dealing with a gap up. Let's turn on the, or gap down, excuse me there. Don't quote me on that. Gap down here. If we turn on the extended hours session, you can clearly see that we are sliding lower into the after hours session, and low enough to the point, again, this is going to be about a $5 gap down. That's sizable enough to start employing some of our gap rules, which, as we know, if the open is going to be here and that the overnight low is going to be in here, we now have a framework to use to trade the bell at 9:30. Now, don't get me wrong, these numbers can change by the time the bell rings at 9:30, but the framework will remain the same. So if we open here, fail to take out the overnight low, trade back up through the open, you're looking for the gap to fill, the gap and trap essentially, taking us into today's low at 250.34. After that, you have that upside target here at 261 as discussed, and then the potential for the trade to do something like that. That would be the best case and most bullish scenario. If we do get the gap fill though, please keep a close eye on what happens at 250. You don't want it to turn into a gap fill reversal and then roll back over, right? So please monitor for that. This is probably a trade by itself here, and then if we get back into it, form some pattern just below here, this trade right here is a completely separate trade, and I would not link the two together unless, you can do it with some size, maybe trim half position here on the first go, and then monitor for that continuation. But again, probably looking at them as two separate trades and not one complete trade as a whole. To the downside, the flip side of this coin, of course, is the fact that we could get a gap and go, meaning that if we open here and consolidate in this overnight range, never taking out that opening print and actually break down through the overnight low, we're looking at the next major area of daily support to come into play as the target underneath. And you can see in here, fairly choppy zone. So I don't think that this move will unfold quickly or cleanly, but the next major area to pay attention to would be here, 227.18 coming from prior resistance, which should now act as support. Going forward, we also have the 50 estimated blue line here, which may coincide for a super support at that area. Be on the quick lookout for any sort of hammer candles that print, indecision dojis, basically anything that would make you question, is this pullback from here ultimately ending? Can we flip long over the highs and get back up into some of the targets which we've outlined from today's video? So those are my thoughts here. A lot is going to boil down to what happens at 9:30 with the gap. Does it fill? Does it not? Do we get a gap and go? Do we get a gap and trap? Do we get accepted back inside of today's range? So many questions to answer, but you have the levels to be watching out for confirmation or not confirmation, and that's the power of technical analysis. It gives you a black and white level to take action based on. So if you enjoyed the video or learned anything new, certainly let me know down below in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description, and all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.